The story opens in a storm-soaked forest. Through the darkness, a squad of armored knights pushes forward until they corner their target. Their commander steps up, mocking the fugitive for thinking he could hide. Calling him a filthy beast, he raises his sword and boasts that the vampire should feel honored to die by his hand. Eugene, bruised and exhausted, doesn't flinch. He only smirks until the knight reveals a final twist. He never intended to capture Eugene at all. He delayed the hunt on purpose, letting Eugene run so he could claim the glory of bringing down a rare vampire himself. In that moment, Eugene understands the brutal truth of this world. The strong hunt the weak, and he's always been prey. His last attempt to fight or flee fails, and the knight's blade runs him through. As his vision fades, the knight keeps ranting about sins in the church, but Eugene focuses only on one wish, a second chance. And then he wakes up. Gasping, drenched in cold sweat, Eugene realizes he's in his old tent 6 months before the hunt ever happened. His limbs are intact, his neck unscarred. The worn marks on the wood confirm it. Somehow, impossibly, he's gone back in time. He clenches his fist. This time, everything will be different. Eugene recounts his old life in the forest village. Weak, constantly hiding, surviving on nothing but the blood of wild beasts for 12 long years. One slip-up brought mercenaries and knights crashing into his life, and from that day, he never stopped running. But now, he refuses to repeat the same mistakes. He needs power, real power. Vampires grow stronger by drinking stronger blood, so he heads for the swamp, waiting for the forest's apex predator. When it finally appears, a massive, spike-covered beast, it charges without hesitation. Eugene stands his ground. The creature's first blow sends him flying. His sword strike does nothing. Its hide is tougher than steel. A tail whip shatters his blade and slams him into the dirt. Pain shoots through him as the monster looms overhead, jaws spreading wide. This is a roar, a magical beast whose core, a rare magic stone, is worth a fortune. Eugene knows all this, but none of it matters. The power gap is crushing. Still, he refuses to run. One cut, one drop of blood. That's all he needs to start climbing out of weakness. Eugene realizes he may have taken this second life far too lightly. The roar is so powerful it could end him before he even lands a scratch. The beast unleashes a blast of force that ripples through the swamp, and Eugene finally admits the truth. Just because he got one second chance, it doesn't mean he'll get another. He survived this long by crawling, hiding, and holding his breath. But today he chooses the opposite. He fights. With nothing left to rely on but raw will, he grabs the monster's jaws with his bare hands. His body glows as he steels himself. If he fails here, that's it. No resets, no miracles. So he commits fully, thrusting his arm into the creature's mouth and tearing at its power core. For Eugene, survival has always come from blood. And with one final, desperate burst of strength, he crushes the mana stone. The swamp goes silent. Then a surge of energy explodes outward, lighting up the forest. Eugene remembers his vow. If he ever got another chance, he would stop running. He would fight. And now, standing amid the wreckage, he's changed, both inside and out. Under the moonlight, he examines his new form. The mana stone was stronger than he expected. Black scales now ripple across his skin. He explains that he first learned about the roar years ago when mercenaries captured him. He drank one's blood and escaped. But even with this boosted strength, he knows he still can't stand against the knight, Jung Darit. To face the paladins hunting him, he'll need far more power. As dawn approaches, Eugene turns to leave until a voice rises from the swamp, thanking him for killing the false master. A blue figure emerges, accusing him of trespassing and staining sacred land. She introduces herself as the great Miran, protector of the wetlands, and threatens him with a devastating curse. Then she shrinks into a tiny fairy. Blinking, she wonders if he can even hear her. Eugene, unfazed, simply asks what she is. Shocked, she asks if he heard everything she said. He nods. She introduces herself again, Miran, a water spirit enslaved for 15 years. Thanks to him, her home can finally be purified. While she talks, Eugene notices one of the tattoos on his body dissolving. Miran points at the mark. Eugene tells her he doesn't know what it means. He's had 10 tattoos for as long as he can remember, with no memory of his past. He's always assumed they were harmless, but now he wonders if they're seals and if one of them just broke. In a flurry of excitement, Moran rambles about how long it will take to cleanse the swamps and offers him fresh water as thanks. The liquid she conjures looks anything but fresh. Eugene declines immediately and walks away, ignoring her protests. A few days later, he reaches the village of Broadwyn. A young man bursts in ahead of him, shouting that the red-eyed monster is back. The villagers rush out and freeze at the sight. A massive pile of freshly hunted animals lies at their gates. Someone whispers, confused, because it's not even a full moon. That monster is Eugene, the same elusive figure who's lived near Broadwyn for over a decade. Stepping out of the forest, he raises his voice calmly. "May I enter the village?" For years, the villagers feared the red-eyed figure who lived in their woods, but whenever he appeared, he left food for them, and that odd routine continued for a decade. Now, Eugene returns with another pile of hunted animals. He explains that he lived far from the village because he'd been unwell, but now he's recovered, and he wants to repay their kindness. Confused, the villagers watch as he removes his mask. Shock ripples through the crowd. Instead of a monster, they see a handsome young man, so striking that some whisper he might be part elf. Even the chief is stunned. Back in the forest, Moran hovers beside him, baffled. Why give all that food away? To her, vampires care only about power, not people. And since he's leaving soon, why bother at all? Eugene answers simply, if he doesn't act, mercenaries will attack the village. They're coming for a certain boy, and anyone nearby will be in danger. Moran can't understand how he knows this, especially when she can't read his thoughts. Before she can question him further, Eugene suddenly stops. She bumps into him, then sees the problem. A group of mercenaries blocks the forest path. They mistake Eugene for an ordinary villager. The leader calls him weak-looking and signals his men to deal with him quickly. One of them rushes in, but Eugene reacts before the attacker even reaches him. Faster, calmer, and far more capable than they expected. The mercenaries halt, startled. He tells Moran his plan. To earn the villagers' trust, he has to remove the threat endangering them. And that means stopping this group here and now. The remaining mercenaries panic, arguing about rewards and promotions, but Eugene moves too swiftly for them to keep up. Even a towering brute with a heavy weapon is stopped effortlessly. As evening settles over the forest, Eugene reminds them that nighttime gives him the advantage. The leader finally realizes they're outmatched, but the villagers arrive at that exact moment. They freeze at the scene, mercenaries scattered around the clearing. The chief turns to Eugene. "Did you do this?" Eugene answers calmly, pointing aside. "No, them." A pack of dire wolves emerges from the trees. Villagers examine the area and quickly convince themselves that the mercenaries were attacked by the animals. Relieved, the chief apologizes to Eugene for doubting him. Moran, invisible to the villagers, whispers in protest. She knows the wolves only arrived afterward, and Eugene cleverly redirected suspicion. She still can't understand why he cares so much about how the humans see him. Ignoring her, Eugene searches the mercenary leader's belongings and finds a sealed letter. He hands it to the chief. When the man reads it, he goes pale. Pell? Is Pell still in the village? The letter hints that Pell might be connected to Lord T1, explaining why mercenaries were sent. Eugene remembers the leader's earlier attempt to challenge him. The captain was determined to fight, refusing to back down even when the situation was hopeless. Eugene ended the confrontation quickly and decisively, leaving the captain unable to continue. The defeated man could only plead for it to stop. The defeated mercenary lies on the ground, shaken. He stammers that they never meant trouble. His group just had business in the village. But Eugene steps forward and says plainly that the village is under his protection. If they came here, he wants the full truth. Panicking, the mercenary claims he didn't know a vampire lord lived nearby. He insists they were only searching for the hidden, illegitimate child of the T1 family. Eugene isn't convinced. With a calm, knowing look, he asks whether their real plan was to silence the entire village afterward. Cornered, the mercenary admits it. Lord T1's legitimate sons hired them, and they brought a large team to make sure no witnesses would remain. Eugene pieces together the rest. The blonde knight involved must have been Bertel T1, the same knight who once led the vampire pursuit squads. Bertal had used the mercenaries' greed, knowing a disaster would eventually expose Eugene to the Holy Knights. The mercenary begs, saying he never would have agreed if he'd known the truth. Eugene tells him to leave, warning him about wolves along the road. Relieved, the man thanks him repeatedly, but Eugene stops him. He can't risk someone who knows his identity. With one swift, non-graphic motion, Eugene ends the confrontation. Moments later, wolves arrive, drawn by the scent of the area. Back in the village, the chief confirms the mercenaries came to take Pelid to the castle. Pelid's mother passed away long ago, leaving the boy alone. Eugene steps forward and calmly volunteers to escort him. Because he knows the forest, he can guide the boy safely away from any danger. The chief is startled. He insists he can't ask so much of Eugene. Moran, hovering nearby, accuses Eugene of being shameless. The villagers stare, confused, until Eugene smiles and gives a formal introduction. "My name is Jan Eugene." Surprisingly, they believe him without hesitation. He explains quietly to Moran that the villagers have never met real nobles, so they have no way of recognizing the difference as long as he carries himself confidently. The villagers bombard him with questions about his past, but he answers only that he had his own reasons for living alone. When the chief apologizes for their lack of funds, Eugene says he isn't asking for payment, he only requests a place to rest for the night. The next morning, he stands by the window and cautiously tests his new ability in the sunlight. His hands shift into dark scales that shield his skin. The protection works better than he expected, which means travel will be easier. Moran scolds him again for lying about being a noble. Eugene replies that it won't matter, he'll be leaving soon, but the fairy won't let it go and asks for his real reason. Before he can answer, a villager knocks and says they're ready to depart. Eugene steps outside and explains to Moran that titles are shortcuts, far more convincing than complicated explanations. A believable title cuts his lies from 100 down to 10. Real nobles would see through it instantly, which is why he plans to work hard so the lie becomes reality. The chief hands him a sealed letter of introduction and entrusts Pelid to his care. Pelid shyly introduces himself, and together, he and Eugene begin the journey to the castle. Their path winds through mountains and long forest roads. When a village appears in the distance, Pelid asks if it's Bramis. Eugene confirms it. As they walk, he asks if Pelid can read. The boy nods. His late mother taught him. She learned from someone she cared about deeply, and she passed that knowledge on to her son. Moran suggests that our hero ask Pell to teach him how to read as well. Pell looks surprised when he's asked, wondering why someone like him doesn't already know how. Our protagonist quickly makes up a story about his family falling on hard times, and he walks with a deliberately downcast expression to sell the lie. Moran is impressed, though she warns him not to push his acting too far, or people will get suspicious. Pell's eyes light up. He fully believes the story. He apologizes, admitting he was influenced by the rumors in the village calling our hero a monster. But from now on, Pell says he'll judge based on what he sees himself. He even offers to teach him to read whenever they have free time. For a moment, our protagonist imagines using magic to summon an ice dagger and striking Pell just to test how the boy would react. But it's only a thought experiment until an actual attack happens. A group of bandits bursts onto the road. Pell is terrified. Their leader smirks and tells them to hand over everything of value. Before he can even finish talking, our hero moves. With a clean, decisive strike, he takes down the leader. The remaining bandits panic. One charges with an axe, but our hero quickly defeats him. Another tries to run, and he's stopped just as fast. The last one drops his weapon and begs, but the fight ends in a single, efficient motion. Pell stands frozen, overwhelmed by how fast everything happened. Our hero looks at the defeated bandits and mutters that he'll never understand why people choose to harm the weak. Then he turns to Pell and reminds him of his own words. Believe what you see. He promises he won't let anything happen to him. After traveling a while longer, they finally reach the city of Bramis. The streets are crowded with merchants shouting about rare herbs from the northern dungeon. One customer argues loudly about prices while Moran is wide-eyed, fascinated by everything she sees. Pell warns that city merchants are ruthless, and even the village chief gets overwhelmed here. But our hero says he needs money before worrying about anything else. He enters a leather and fur shop and shows the pelts he collected. The shopkeeper's eyes widen when he notices it's dire wolf leather, and a lot of it. But after glancing at our hero's worn clothes, he assumes he's dealing with an easy target. With a sly grin, he claims the leather is damaged and offers only 18 silver coins. Our hero's expression hardens. His red eyes flare with intensity as he grabs the shopkeeper by the collar, startling him. The merchant immediately panics and tries to explain that dire wolf leather is rare and hard to acquire, clearly realizing he picked the wrong person to scam. The shopkeeper, visibly nervous, begs our hero to calm down and settle things peacefully. Trying to laugh it off, he raises his offer to 20 coins. Our protagonist says nothing. He just stares at the man with an icy, unreadable expression. The silence makes the merchant crack and he bumps the price to 25. Pell, desperate to help, blurts out 28 coins, but our hero still doesn't speak. The shopkeeper swallows hard, realizing he has no leverage left, and finally offers 30 silver coins. Only then does our hero accept. That night, they camp in the forest. Our protagonist tries to decipher an ancient scroll, but the words still look like random lines. He sighs. Pell taught him the basics, but he's nowhere near fluent. Moran compliments his new clothes, surprised the market was so generous with them. She grumbles that he should have demanded more money and bought silk, but he says he only needs something to block sunlight. Moran crosses her arms and insists that vampires are nobles among nobles and should aim higher. When he asks how she knows all this, she proudly says she learned it in the spirit realm. She recommends studying ancient literature, but he reminds her he still can't read. Suddenly, Pell calls out, snapping him from his thoughts. The boy asks, wearing a strange, curious smile, who he was talking to. Our protagonist casually says he was just thinking out loud and checks if Pell is feeling okay after everything they saw earlier. Pell assures him he's fine and still full of energy. With a warm smile, he says they have plenty of paper and he'll teach him to read as much as he wants. They sit by the campfire and begin studying. Surprisingly, the hero picks things up fast, almost unnaturally fast. Pell explains that most people take a year to learn at this pace, so it's definitely not normal. After the lesson, our hero asks whether Pell is ready to become a noble's son. Pell admits it hasn't sunk in yet, and he wasn't expecting Lord Taiwan to accept him so easily. Just then, a group of armored knights arrives at their campsite. Their leader steps forward politely and asks if they may approach. Sensing danger, our hero stands up, alert. The leader notes that they seem like real mercenaries, unlike the bandits from before. Knowing lies will only draw suspicion. Our hero decides to tell the truth when questioned. The leader explains they are also traveling toward the castle and asks to share the campsite. One of the younger knights complains, but the leader scolds him for being rude. He introduces himself as Partik and asks for our hero's name. When our protagonist says he's a knight from House Eugene, the young knight bursts out laughing. He says he's never heard of that house and accuses our hero of being a fake. Our hero's expression turns cold. He realizes he can't keep lying forever. He already told Pell he was a knight, and if this continues, it'll get messy. For a split second, he considers fighting, but before he decides anything, Partik suddenly grabs the young knight, Rabin, by the shoulder and punches him straight in the face. Rabin is knocked flat, hitting the ground hard. Partik immediately bows to our hero and apologizes for his recruit's disrespect. Our protagonist simply tells him to forget it and find a place to rest. Internally, he understands this won't be the last time someone questions his identity. He needs to officially become a knight soon, before suspicion piles up. Rabin wakes up dazed, confused about what just happened. Partik calls him a fool for provoking someone clearly dangerous and scolds him for lacking situational awareness. He tells Rabin he should be thanking him for saving his life and reminds him not to judge people by appearance. Partik turns to Rabin with a serious expression and asks if he even understands how expensive the cloak our hero is wearing is. He explains that it's reinforced with rare lyanthrop leather and that even the cheapest one costs more than 10 silver coins, about triple Rabin's salary. On top of that, the fact that our hero can read at his age proves he isn't an ordinary traveler. Rabin is stunned and asks how Partik knows all this. The leader reveals that he saw everything. Our hero was already reaching into his cloak to draw his weapon. If Partik had stepped in a second later, Rabin would have been in serious danger. He warns the young knight that he has no idea how overwhelming a trained knight can be. Pardik explains that knights are raised with a wooden sword practically from childhood. They explore unknown dungeons, take down monsters, and only those who have proven themselves in countless battles eventually earn the title of knight in a grand ceremony. That's why impersonating a knight is a major offense, especially since anyone claiming the title at 20 must have extraordinary skill. Rubin then nervously asks if that makes our hero even stronger than Pardik. He also mentions rumors that the newly discovered dungeon might open soon. Nearby, our protagonist overhears them. He realizes just how heavy the title of knight is, and he finds it odd that the Taiwan family hired mercenaries instead of relying on their own soldiers. Pell notices him walking over to the group. With a polite smile, our hero approaches Pardik and suggests they travel together since both parties are headed to the castle anyway. Rabin is briefly mesmerized by his appearance, while Pardik is simply confused by how calm he is after everything. After several days of travel, they finally arrive at Martella Village in the Taiwan territory. Our protagonist is relieved the mercenaries bought his story, but he knows the real challenges are just beginning. Miran appears and reports what she learned from spying on the mercenaries. Lord Taiwan's health is failing rapidly, and a new dungeon has been discovered. But the family doesn't have the funds to explore it. The thought of a fresh dungeon makes our hero pause in deep thought. Moran then worries about what will happen to Pell if Lord Taiwan passes away. She fears he'll end up alone again. But our hero bluntly says it isn't his responsibility. Moran tears up, terrified that Pell might be targeted by others for no reason. That's when our hero realizes Lord Taiwan likely summoned Pell for a final meeting, and that both of their destinies are about to shift. After more traveling, they reach the towering Castle of Roses, home of Lord Taiwan. The group enters amazed by the elegant architecture. Moran excitedly says that one day their hero needs to rise through the ranks and live in a place like this, but he tells her to stop talking. They have more important things to focus on. A guard blocks their path and asks for their purpose. Pardik introduces himself as a mercenary from the Phelan Guild. Suddenly, a blonde man approaches and introduces himself as Kamar, the hero of Tuan. He asks whether their delivery is in the cart, and Pardik confirms it is. Kamar notices our hero and asks why he isn't moving. Calmly, our hero introduces himself as the knight Yan Eugene, leaving Kamar surprised. Before he can introduce Pell, another man arrives, Bertel, the second son of the Taiwan family. The moment our hero hears Bertel's voice, memories he wishes he could forget come rushing back. He remembers being hunted relentlessly in the forest by Bertel and another knight, unable to rest or escape. As Bertel approaches with a proud posture and a rose emblem on his armor, our hero's expression hardens. He can't forget the voice of the one who tormented him. And now, face to face with Bertel, Taiwan once more, the hatred he buried deep begins to rise.